Obeisances. All Guru Shishya Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 6, Text 12 to 44. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nastapраyesu Abhatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Text 12. The son of Sasada was Puranjaya, who is also known as Indravaha and sometimes at Kukusta. Please hear from me how he received different names from different activities. Formerly, there was a devastating war between the demigods and the demons. The demigods, having been defeated, accepted Puranjaya as their assistant and then conquered the demons. Therefore, this hero is all known as Puranjaya, he who conquered the residents of the demons. Puranjaya agreed to kill all the demons on the condition that Indra would be his carrier. Because of pride, Indra could not accept this proposal. But later, by the order of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, Indra did accept it and become a grateful bull carrier for Puranjaya. Well protected by armor and desiring to fight, Puranjaya took up a transcendental bow and very sharp arrows. And while being highly praised by the demigod, he got up on the back of the bull, Indra, and sat on its hump. Thus he is known as Kakustha, being empowered by Lord Vishnu, who is the super soul and the supreme person. Puranjaya sat on the great bull and is therefore known as Indravaha. Surrounded by the demigods, he attacked the residents of the demons in the west. There was a fierce battle between the demons and Puranjaya. Indeed, it was a fierce that when one hears about it, one's hair stands on end. All the demons bold enough to come before Puranjaya were immediately sent to the residence of Yamaraj by his arrows. To save themselves from the blazing arrows of Indravaha, which resembled the flames of devastation at the end of the millennium. The demons who remained when the rest of their army was killed fled very quickly to their respective homes. Excuse me. After conquering the enemy, the saintly King Puranjaya gave everything, including the enemy's and riches and wives, to Indra, who carries the 8 thunderbolts. For this, he is celebrated as Puranjaya. Thus, Puranjaya is known by different names because of his different activities. The son of Puranjaya was known as Anena. Anena's son was Prithu, and the Prithu's son was Viswagandhi. Viswagandhi's son was Chandra, and the Chandra's son was Ivanaswa. The son of Ivanaswa was Sravastha, who constructed a township known as Sivaspuri. The son of Sivastha was Brihatsva, and his son was Kulavasya. In this way, the dynasty increased. To satisfy the sage Uttanka, the greatly powerful Kulavasya killed a demon named Dundu. He did this with the assistance of his 21,000 sons. O Maharaj Parikshit, for this reason, Kulavasya is celebrated as Dundu Mara, the killer of Dundu. All but 3 of his sons, however, were burned to ashes by the fire emanating from Dundu's mouth. The remaining sons were Dhrivasya, Kapilaswa, and Bhadraswa. From Dhrivasya came a son named Haryaswa, whose son is celebrated as Nikumbha. The son of Nikumbha was Bahulaswa. The son of Bahulaswa was Krishavswa. The son of Krishavswa was Senajit, and the son of Senajit was Ivanaswa. Ivanaswa had no son, and thus he retired from family life and went to the forest. Although Ivanaswa went into the forest with his 100 wives, all of them were very morose. The sage in the forest, however, being very kind to the king, began very carefully and attentively performing an Indragya so that the king might have a son. Being thirsty one night, The king entered the arena of sacrifice, and when he saw all the Brahmanas lying down, he personally drank the sanctified water meant to be drunk by his wife. When the Brahmanas got up from bed and saw the water pot empty, they inquired who had done this work of drinking the water meant for begetting a child. When the Brahmanas came to understand that the king, inspired by the supreme controller, had drank the water, they all exclaimed, Alas, the power of providence is real power. No one can counteract the power of the Supreme. In this way, they offered their respective obeisances unto the Lord. Thereafter, in due course of time, a son with all the good symptoms of a powerful king came forth from the lower right side of King Yuvanaswa's abdomen. The baby cried so much for breast milk that all the Brahmanas were very happy. Who will take care of this baby? They said then Indra, who was worshipped in that yajna, came and solaced the baby. Do not cry, Indra said. Then Indra put his index finger in the baby's mouth and said, You may drink me. Because of Ivanaswa, the father of the baby, was blessed by the Brahmanas, he did not fall a victim to death. After this incident, he performed severe austerities and achieved perfection in that very spot. Mandhata, the son of Ivanaswa, was the cause of fear for Ravana and other thieves and rogues who caused anxiety. O King Parikshit, because they feared him, the son of Ivanaswa was known as Trasadesu. This name was given by King Indra. By the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Uvanasa was so powerful that when he became emperor, he ruled the entire world, consisting of 7 islands without any second ruler. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not different from the auspicious aspect of great sacrifice, such as the ingredients of the sacrifice, the chanting of Vedic hymns, the regulative principle, the farmer, the priest, the result of the sacrifice, the arena of the sacrifice, and the time of the sacrifice. Knowing the principle of self-realization, Mandhata worshipped the transcendentally situated Supreme Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, who comprises all the demigods. He also gave immense charity to the Brahmanas, and thus he performed yajna to worship the Lord. Text 37. All places from where the sun rises on the horizon, shining brilliantly to where the sun sets, are known as the position of the celebrated Mandhata, the son of Ivanaswa. Mandhata begot 3 sons in the womb of Bindumati, the daughter of Sasabindu. These sons were Purukutsa, Ambrisha, and Muchukunda, a great mystic yogi. These 3 brothers had 50 sisters, who all accepted the great sage of Saubhari as their husband. Text 39 to 40. Saubhari Rishi was engaged in austerity deep in the water of the river Yamuna, when he saw a pair of fish engaged in sexual affairs. Thus he perceived the pleasure of sex life, and induced by this desire, he went to King Mandhata and begged for one of the king's daughters. In response to this request, the king said, O Brahmana, any of my daughter may accept any husband according to her personal selection. Saubhari Muni thought, I am now feeble because of old age. My hair has become gray, my skin is slack, and my hand always trembles. Besides, I am a yogi. Therefore, women do not like me. Since the king has thus rejected me, I shall reform my body in such a way as to be desirable even to celestial women. What to speak of the daughters of the worldly kings? Thereafter, when Saubhari Muni became quite a young and beautiful person, the messenger of the palace took him inside the residential quarters of the princess, which were extremely opulent. All 50 princes then accept him as their husband, although he was only one man. Text 44. Thereafter, the princes, being attracted by Saubhari Muni, gave up their sisterly relationship and quarreled among themselves, each one of them contending This man is just suitable for me, not for you. In this way, there ensued a great disagreement. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Sri Krishna Das Prabhuji, please accept our humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Good Maharaj. Prabhuji, please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Radharani Mataji. Thank you, Hemangi Mataji, for reading the translation today. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Sikshashtamekam Purusha Puranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari Kripambudattamaham Prapadye. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langete girim yat krupa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dina Dharanam Shri Paramananda Vadamam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So this section is being titled as the fall down of Sabri Muni, Sabri Rishi. So, so it is basically one of the pastimes in the Yamuna. So it's that pastime. So this particular pastime is basically in the Mathura district where Yamuna river is flowing. So the once upon a time when Sabri Rishi saw Garuda was catching fish in the Yamuna river. That time he was performing mystic yoga under the water, so he is getting disturbed and he was feeling compassionate for this fish, and he just cursed Garuda that if you again come to this side of Yamuna, then you'll have to suffer the consequences like that. So because of his curse, Garuda is actually one of the very dedicated servants of the Lord, and Lord's carrier. Everybody knows Garuda is Vishnu's carrier, is very powerful. So, but Sabri Rishi, he was also extremely powerful yogi. Because of that, he thought, I know, so he thought I am better than Garuda. So, and then he cursed Garuda. So, because of that offense, it was mentioned that later on he had to basically when the great personalities make offenses, it is said that they again fall down into the material enjoyment. So here also we can see that so in this pastime he's basically getting again a desire to become a grahastha, so and enjoy into the family life and uh, accept wife and children, and getting attracted to the sexual relationships. So here in this previous in the beginning of the chapter, we can see that how in this dynasty Ikshwaku also comes into picture, and then so after that we see how in the Ikshwaku dynasty that after Maharaj Ikshwaku's he's basically got liberated, and his son Vikukshi, he was performing Shraddha ceremony. He made offenses, and then by Vasishta Muni he was instructed. So Vasishta Muni is a Kula Guru and is also spiritual master of this Ikshwaku dynasty. So he was the one who instructed King Ikshwaku. He becomes and then Ikshwaku got the perfection after giving up this material body. So you can see all of these kings, they were, there were so many names mentioned here, but in essence, all of these kings, they were having Brahmanas as their one who instructs them, and they also had a proper spiritual masters. who could instruct them. So in the case of Maharaj Ikshvaku, it was mentioned that he attained the supreme perfection after giving up this material body. So we can understand nowadays, though the kings or the people in the big posts, they don't have any brahmanas or spiritual masters guiding them, and they are basically rotting, taking the administration, all the hard work. At the end of the hard work, we there is no result, there is no guidance from any spiritual master at all. So it's like Shrama eva hi kevalam, like basically all the administration the people are doing, taking all the burden. Sometimes the kings, the people who are on the administrative post, they do all kinds of good things, still people curse. Bad things, still people curse. So there is all kinds of trouble they have to take in order to rule the kingdom. But still, they don't get any benefit because they are not being guided by brahmanas or spiritual masters. So, but the saintly kings in those days, they used to have assembly of brahmanas, an assembly of people who can guide them into right direction. So, especially we can see how Vasishta guided. He is also a brahmana and he is also an elevated mystic yogi who knows how to guide the king into the absolute truth. So, which is what he did. And after King Ikshvaku disappeared, and it looks like the Vikukshi returned to the country and then he ruled the kingdom. Uh, and also he performed various sacrifices to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, so, um, so all of these kings, they know how to perform the yajnas. It looks like this was in Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. So that time they knew how to perform these yajnas, and they were also Jagrik Brahmanas who were guiding them to perform these yajnas. So therefore they were able to perform. So Shashad Ije Harim Yajnai. So they were able to please Lord Hari by performing all this yajnas. So and here there were some details mentioned about like how in the Shraddha ceremony there were some animals being killed in the forest, and then there was some discrepancy in offering. So all that right now in the sacrifices in right now the Shraddha ceremony that was performed, only pure vegetarian is being offered. But those days, there were sacrifices, but nowadays in Kali Yuga it is prohibited. So so here we can see that after that the king Vikukshi took the kingdom, and later he was celebrated as Shashada. So and then we can see a lineage of sons from Sashada, and then so all the way down to Mandatha. So in between we can see that how they were all the friends of demigods. So here we can see. So those days, the kings, any king who is very pious, they would be basically on the side of demigods. Sometimes they have to fight with the demons, daityas. So the demigods the kings used to help the demigods. So even Muchukunda was one of that king. He comes in the same lineage. So here, before Muchukunda, there was another king called Puranjaya. So Puranjaya also, it looks like he also killed so many Daityas, demons, and helped Indra to stay in his position. So on, but it was very unique that he was asking Indra to be his carrier for that particular service. So there was obviously a pride involved in it, but Indra did not agree. But it was mentioned that by the order of Supreme Lord Vishnu, the Indra also agreed. So he agreed to be in the form of a bull carrier for this particular king called Puranjaya. So, so because of that, his name here it was mentioned as uh, uh, So there was a particular name was given because of the bull carrier. So then it was mentioned there was a fierce battle, and all the demons were there was killed by this king called Puranjaya. um, so all of these we can see, in the so it's he's also called Indravaha, meaning he's traveling on the bull carrier, who's Indra himself. And the arrows that he shoots was called Indravaha. So which is basically so Indra puts all this thunderbolts. So these fires are like the arrows are like thunderbolts, that is resembling the um, end of millennium. So that was very powerful. So it is, and then it is mentioned that Puranjaya, this particular king, including, uh, so he is, um, so he gave all this riches. It means, I mean, after conquering all these enemies, they basically in those days when the king used to conquer other kings, they used to get a lot of these riches, all the wealth of that kingdom. So all of this he gave to Indra. So, so for this reason, he was called Puranjaya, and different names because of his different activities. So, and then again, we see all the lineage of this king Puranjaya, and finally, it comes to uh, Tundumara. So then there was a king called Kovalayashva. He's celebrated as Dundumara because he killed Dundu. Uh, so and then after that, we can see that in the lineage, finally we come to the King Yuvanashva, who had the 100 queens, but he did not had any lineage. He did not have any sons. So after that, because of that, he was approaching the forest where all the yogis used to, the brahmanas, siddhas, and yogis used to reside to take the help. But the brahmanas, they were keeping one particular pot, sanctified water, to be given to the queen. The queen is going to beget children after that, but king mistakenly was thirsty and he took the water. So this was, and the brahmanas immediately realized it was some will of providence, and they were basically at that moment they were just calling the Supreme Lord, oh, what it's all your activities, your Leela is so great, like that. They were just glorifying the Supreme Lord. And after that, the king, it was mentioned that king actually, there was from one part of his lower body, king, in this king's abdomen, there was one baby that was crying and came out. And this baby was, there was no mother, it just came out of the father's body and basically was crying for milk. Mahamdata Vatsamarodhir. So he was crying, and Indra was basically giving his finger, you can drink me, like that. Uh, so and then the verse number 32, we can see. Um, so he was the father who was Yuvanashva. It was mentioned that he performed several severe austerities, and also on the same spot it was mentioned that he also achieved perfection. So, and then at the last we can see the king named Mandata. So this was the son of Yuvanashva, and it was mentioned this king was so powerful that even Ravana and other people used to fear this particular king. So, and he was also known as Trashadashyu, and so this name was given by King Indra himself, it seems, the Mandata, and also he is blessed by the Supreme Lord. Sapta Dvipathvim Ekaha. So he was just like all the 7 islands he was ruling without any second ruler. So this was similar to like Bharat Maharaj. So he was ruling the Sapta Dvipas, all the 7 islands, very powerful. This king Mandata. So now this pastime of Saubari Muni comes. So the king Mandata, it was mentioned that he performed great sacrifices, and he pleased the Supreme Lord, and therefore uh, he uh, he worshipped the Lord who is situated as a super soul, Lord Vishnu, and he gave immense charity to Brahmanas, and thus he performed yajna to worship the Lord. So Sarvam eta yat atmakam dharma deshasta kalascha. So according to time, place, and circumstances, he gave a lot of charity to Brahmanas and pleased the Supreme Lord. So he was very powerful and very pious king. So now, in this Mandata's kingdom only, now the Saubari Muni. So in the Mandatas had 3 sons, and then in that lineage, the Muchukunda comes. Purukushta, Ambarisha, and Muchukunda. So Muchukunda is mentioned as a great mystic yogi, and now these 3 brothers had 50 sisters who all accepted great Saubari as their husband. So now, how did they accept Saubari Muni as their husband? Now the so now I just told that how Saubari Rishi was cursed and he was deeply in the water of river Yamuna and performing austerities. But he was seeing a particular scene how 2 fishes they just engage in the sexual affairs, and because of that his yogic meditation got disturbed, and he thought, I have to engage in the grahastha ashram, I have to marry and take the pleasure of sex life. So he was induced by that desire. So then he went to King Mandata and he asked for one of the daughters. And then king said, he was, basically he was teasing that Saubari Muni, you whichever daughter accepts you, that is fine according to me, because he was looking very old and ugly. So the king was sarcastically saying, "Okay, whichever daughter can accept, I don't have any problems." So he just wanted to escape the Saubari Muni's, anger. At the same time, he was sarcastically saying that. So now, so here, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, this is the beginning of the story of Saubari Rishi. So in this chapter, so he felt the desire of sexual desire when he was emerged from the water, and he directly went to King Mandata. So, so we can see that anytime any powerful personalities like yogis or siddhas or even devotees, when they perform, when they do offenses, the offenses will manifest in the form of desires to enjoy material life. So, and then one time, one of the devotee was just joking with me that the punishment was Saubari Rishi. He has to accept 50 queens and have family life. That was his punishment. So, so in this case, now Saubari thought, I'm very old. I'm looking, my skin is very slacky, and my head is always trembling. Who's going to accept? Nobody, no woman will like me. But I am a mystic yogi, so I will just transform myself into beautiful, young, desirable boy. So, and then like that, he completely transformed. Now he was outside, and all the doorkeepers they thought, okay, he's a young looking, beautiful man. He's worthy of our princess, and they sent him inside. So now all of these 50 queens, they were all sisters, but they were all started fighting with each other that, okay, I want to marry like that. So, so it just shows that how he transformed. His yogic power was so powerful that he could transform from an old age to a beautiful man. So one thing we can understand from this is one can be a powerful yogi with all the powers. He can even transform from old age to a young boy, but his attraction, his desire for these material objects, including the attraction for sex desire, it is not so easy to give up unless one completely surrenders onto the lotus feet of the Lord. So just like Haridas Thakur was, he was exalted Vaishnava, he was always chanting the holy name of the Lord. And in this case of Saubari Rishi, he was just witnessing two fishes having sexual intercourse and he got attracted. But in the case of Haridas Thakur, one prostitute who was basically asked to tempt Haridas Thakur, and she was trying so hard. 2 nights she was waiting, but still Haridas Thakur was not tempted because he was completely absorbed in the holy name of the Lord, and his complete absorption and surrender to the Lord, and he was not attracted to the external energy of the Lord. So that was the verdict of all the Shastras and also the Vaishnavas. So when so unless our senses are surrendered to the Supreme Lord, how much power we may have on the yogic platform, we may have Ashtasiddhis, but still the desire for the material enjoyment can be evoked at any time. So that is the reason it is said, Arujya Kruchena Paramapadam Patanti Adaha. So even one goes to the Brahmajyoti and merges in Brahmajyoti, still there is a fall down that can happen because we didn't take the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So that service, the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the devotee is very strong, and that bondage is very strong, that he doesn't fall victim to the external energy of the Lord because he's always protected by the Yoga Maya potency of the Lord. So that's why Krishna says, my devotees are always in my Yogamaya potency. So Mama Maya Duratyaya. So Krishna says that my energy, this is my energy, it's very difficult to overcome. Mameva ye prapatyante maya metam tarantite. So once one who surrenders onto Krishna, he just releases that external energy. So in this case, Saubari Muni was not surrendered. He was a yogi, he was a mystic yogi, and he was performing austerities under the water of Yamuna. So imagine how powerful. So because he is not surrendered to the Supreme Lord, and he also made offense against a great devotee, Garuda, so he was eventually had to again fall down into the material enjoyment. So, so there are many lessons we can learn from this, that we should be very careful. And another great exalted devotees, we should not judge them by any external things. That in this case, he thought Garuda was not, he was just after the fish in the Yamuna. So like that, he made some estimation and then cursed. So we should not make any judgment against another great exalted devotees. Hare Krishna. This concludes today's verse. Thank you very much. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। वंशा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव वचः पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Thank you,
you
Prabhuji.
so much,
Hare
Prabhuji. Thank you so much, all devotees, for joining the call today. Hare Krishna.